Hey, internet friends, cousins, and scoundrels. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Pull up a chair, honey, and let's have a chat. And since the algorithm really likes it when you interact with the content, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe since you're here. Now I ain't gonna hold you. Let's get right into this.
Now, can you imagine your friend surprising you with an all expense paid trip to the Caribbean? And not just any friend, honey, but the one you call bougie. Oh, yeah, that bougie friend. Because she is the one that does everything top tier and will really elevate the experience. Yeah, that friend invites you on a free vacay. So, what do? Well, bitch, you pack your bags, right? Hell yeah. This will be a good time. Or will it? Well, Tisha and Kimmy are those quote friends that got invited on the all expense paid trip to the Caribbean. And you might be thinking to yourself, why would Mel invite these ladies given the history between them? And that would be a valid question. Well, you see, Tisha, Kimmy, and Mel had decided to, repair this friendship. And I honestly believe that Mel had really good and earnest intentions on getting back, to a good place with these ladies. Or at least to a place that is not so contentious, right? But it's clear that Tisha and Kimmy don't want that. They thrive in confusion and drama. Shit, they love it there. So it's not shocking, at least to me, when these ladies showed up to the airport already on one and complaining. What? We have to get our own bags? Oh, this is why we need the husbands here. Ugh. And Kimmy with this is what you get for a girl's trip. Girls' trips are so overrated. What are you bitches talking about? Y'all sound dumb. Tisha, stop it. You know if Marceau was there, you would still be grabbing that damn bag. Because didn't Marceau allegedly say on one of those damn lives that if Tisha was a duck and a duck could pull a truck, hook it up? Bitch, he called you a workhorse. A fucking mule. And Kimmy talking about how she needs Maurice there to get her bags, knowing good and hell well that she can't get Maurice to even hang a damn picture for her, let alone get her bags. Are you kidding me? What are we doing? Did y'all forget we've already seen how y'all husbands treat y'all? Shit. And it's not in high regard. So cut it out. This is what I call revving your engine, right? You're just working yourself up until the main event. You're getting yourself into offense mode so that you can instantly attack as soon as you see your opponent. These ladies arrived to St. Thomas with ill intent. The intention was to attack Mel as a group, or at the very least, use the crash dummy. Destiny, to attack Mel while they giggle and watch. Because again, everybody knew Destiny was coming, and they wanted to see a fight. In fact, Kimmy even says in her confessional that Sunny coming changes everything. Of course it does. The reason for their disappointment when they saw Sunny was because they knew that Destiny's focused attacks will most likely switch to Sunny. And that wasn't the motherfucking plan. The plan was to attack Mel. Now, the reception Sunny received ran the gamut, from lukewarm to dry to downright disrespectful, with Trisha and Stormy not even opening their mouths to speak at all. Tisha says, to Sunny, "Oh, you hanging out with us?" And Sunny's like, "Oh, shit, I don't know. I just really need to find Mel." But while they're talking, they're all kind of slowly walking towards the exit. And that's when Stormy says, "Hey, did you get your bags from baggage claim?" And that's when Sunny is like, "Oh, no, I didn't." And she turns back to get her bags. Now, do you think these bitches waited for her to get her bags so they could all walk to the bus together? Hell no. And they know they are treating her like a bitch with cooties because Kimmy is saying the whole time they're walking towards the exit, "So y'all ain't gonna talk to her? So y'all ain't gonna talk to her?" Just childish. And Kimmy is 50 plus years old. Just keep that in mind. This is the mentality we're dealing with here. I think Sunny felt bad that nobody waited for her to get her bags. Not one of them waited. Out of all of these ladies, Trish should be the absolute last to pretend to be standing on morals and the side of right, especially when she got a whole ass husband, a boyfriend, and a dude she fucking on the side. Trish needs to be the last. In fact, she really needs to find a corner, sit down, eat her food, and be quiet. She shouldn't have anything to say. She's got her own scandals she needs to handle. And while we're on Trish, this hair, it ain't it. Trish has a very strong face and a strong jawline. So this hair is a fool on top of her head and it's making me aggressive. Shit, I don't like it. It's like she stuck a mop on top of her head. It looks absolutely terrible. She needs hairstyles that will help to soften her features. But this shit ain't it.
Hated it.
Anyway, moving along. So Tisha gets in her confessional saying that she didn't know how this was supposed to go, now that Destiny is coming. And this was supposed to be a fun trip. How? How did you think this was supposed to be a fun trip when your plan was to ambush the hostess with a bitch she don't fuck with? You see, the thing is, Tisha has a track record and a pattern of trying to ambush Mel in this way.
I don't know how Mel didn't think Martell was going to be here. No, I didn't verbally tell her that he was going to be here, but we're all on the text thread. His name was there. I'm just hoping to get along.
Why didn't you keep that same energy in Houston? You pouted, you cried, and you acted like a child. Why didn't you expect Kiki on the trip? I mean, she was a cast member and in the friend circle. Shit, I'm just using your logic. But here's the difference between you and Mel.
I was expecting Martell to be here.
You see, Mel figured Martell would be there, but her expectation was that her boundaries would not be crossed. And they were. Because y'all think shit is funny and a joke when it's not. Martell came into that lady's room in the middle of the night. That was a violation, which is why she requested a lock on her door in Houston. She again figured Martell would be there. And again, all she asked was that people respected her boundaries. She said she didn't want to be partnered with Martell or any of that. And the first thing Nell did was partner them up. And still Mel acted like a G. But enough is enough. She tried and she has said, I'm done. And she doesn't care to be around these people. So Destiny wasn't invited. And listen, if Destiny wanted to come that bad, she should have pulled a Kiki, bossed up, and asked the hostess herself if she could come. I ain't gonna hold you. A mofo prying your back door open or sneaking through your window has bad intentions. Otherwise, they would come to your front door, ring your doorbell so they can be invited in. Kiki rang the doorbell and was invited on the trip. Tisha and Destiny are prying the back door open. So Sonny finally makes it to the bus, and the ladies are cackling and saying little snide remarks under their breath. Kimmy talking about, we're gonna have problems. Again, revving her engine. You're gonna have problems because you're creating them, okay? You're already putting that in the air. You want problems. And while they're riding to the house, Kimmy is still talking about how she doesn't do girl trips and she only does, trips with her husband. And girl, we get it. You don't have female friends. Okay. Stormy also agrees that she only likes doing trips with her husband too, and that she also gets separation anxiety when she's away from her son. Everybody tells her that when you have your second child, you'll be ready for those breaks, and that's when Sonny asks Stormy if she was trying for another baby. Stormy says yes, she's planning to have a, second child via surrogate. And that's when Sonny says that she was also trying to have a baby, but via IVF, and she's already had one failed attempt. Now, it gets kind of quiet, and Stormy apologizes to Sonny for her loss because, listen, that's devastating and heartbreaking, especially when you're trying to get pregnant and you can't, and you also have the added pressure of your biological clock ticking downward. And again, this bus ride is hella awkward and quiet because nobody is expressing their condolences but Stormy. Sonny adds that they're going to try again. And this time, Nell acknowledges Sonny and reassures her that she will get pregnant. Anyway, they arrive at the house and Mel greets them with cocktails, and she also introduces them to Shanita and Lauren. And she tells them to go and find their rooms, come back upstairs, and she has a surprise and appetizers waiting for them. Now here is where the drama ensues. Tisha and Kimmy find out they have to share a room. and Tisha is pissed. In fact, Stormy and Trish also have to share a room. Listen, this is a house, not a hotel. There's only going to be so many single rooms. And it wasn't like Mel paired up people to a room that she knew wouldn't get along. The way Mel paired these rooms makes sense. Trish is new to the group, and she's Stormy's friend. They shouldn't have a problem with sleeping in the same room with each other. Likewise, Tisha and Kimmy are sister-in-laws. And with Tisha bringing her +1, the room with 3 beds is the perfect situation for them. Listen, Mel told Tisha that she had to be willing to share a room if she was bringing a +1 on the same day she got the invitation. So Tisha, of all people, shouldn't be shocked she was sharing a room. Mel gave both Nell and Sunny their own rooms. Now Nell's room isn't in the best location, but she ain't sharing the space with anyone. And Sunny was given the single room away from this hornet's nest of bitches so that she could feel comfortable while she's there. Bottom line, these sleeping arrangements make sense. Tisha gets in her confessional and says that Mel chose the rooms based on how she felt about people. Okay, but it still makes sense. Shanita and Laura have a closer relationship with Mel than you and Kimmy. So it makes sense that she would look out for her close friends first. Not only that, Tisha, you bought a +1. So again, you would have still been sharing a room anyway. You should just be grateful that it was 3 beds in that room. Because bitch, you would have had to share a bed, not just a bedroom. So shut up. Oh, but we're just warming up because now Nell is acting a fool. She doesn't see a name card on a bed, but there is 1 room left without a name card. So by process of elimination, you would have thought that Nell would have just figured out that that space was hers, but she didn't. And she comes stomping up the steps to confront Mel about not having a place to sleep. Mel tells Nell that her name card was accidentally not printed, but her room is the big single room without a name card. Nell says, okay, but I want them to go and print my name card because I keep them. And that seems like the problem should have been solved if that was really the case, right? So Mel is explaining to Nell that she was giving her own room because she was the elder of the group, and that if anybody needed their own room, it would be Nell. Now, Nell is completely offended that Mel pointed out the fact that she's older than everyone in the group by saying, how do you know I'm older than everyone? You're throwing shade. I mean, what? And Mel says, you are the oldest woman in the group. That's why I said that. You know, it's no shade, it's just facts. Now, while all of this is going on, Tisha is on the phone with someone. And if I had to guess, I would assume it was probably Destiny, to let her know that, Sunny is here and that she was given the good room and they were all in the basement and some more bullshit because, she got to arrive here ready to attack. But hell, who knows who Tisha was talking to? Shit, she might have been ordering a pizza for all I know. Anyway, Tisha storms out of the house with Kimmy on her heels, and Kimmy is asking her what is wrong. Tisha tells her that she isn't staying in that room because it's disrespectful. What's disrespectful? Bitch, you are bringing a +1 to somebody else's trip. Now that's disrespectful. The way you are carrying on at your big ass age, that's disrespectful. And if you are that offended by sleeping arrangements, hell, you are a millionaire. Go and book another house, or at the very least a hotel room. I'm just saying, what are you complaining about? On the Houston trip, Stormy and Courtney said they weren't sharing bathrooms with anybody and they got their own house. They didn't complain. They didn't whine. They just got their own house. Why are you whining about it, Tisha? You said you were a millionaire. Shit, this should be light work. Anyway, somehow Trish has managed to add herself and her 2 cents to a conversation that has nothing to do with her. Trish, instead of being out here adding to the bullshit, you need to be drinking your water and minding your business. Again, you have no room to speak on nothing. You are new here and you barely got a bed. And quite frankly, I've got some sage advice for you. Don't be so quick to add yourself to Tisha and Kimmy's bullshit, because unless your last name is Scott, they don't see it for you either. And in time, they will show you. So fall back. Trish is popping big shit, talking about who is Shanita. And I get it. The new girls, they just want to fit in. But baby, don't tangle yourself up into some bullshit that doesn't concern you. Anyway, Mel told you who Shanita was when you got there. Her and Lauren are her friends. That's who they are. Then she asked Tisha and Kimmy who's all in their room. And Kimmy said that she didn't see a name on the other bed. So Trish is like, well, that's Destiny's bed. And that's when it hit Kimmy that the third bed was for their plus one. And I think at that moment, that room made sense to Kimmy. And she kind of whispers to Tisha that, hey, that must be Destiny's bed. But Tisha is still pissed because she has convinced herself that she should have been given her own room anyway. No, ma'am. There's no malice here. This is a sleeping arrangement that just makes sense. Still needing validation, Trish adds, well, y'all should have definitely had y'all own room. And Kimmy kind of tilts her head in agreement. But I am like, why do y'all think that? Two of Mel's closest friends are on the trip, and they take priority. Tisha and Kimmy would do the same if it was the other way around. Trish continues to add to the nonsense by saying that she and Mel's closest friends should be in the room with the 3 beds. How did you put yourself, or better still, how did you bring them down to your level? Mel doesn't know you. Again, these are Mel's friends, you weird bitch. Why would she put them in a room in the basement with you? Make this shit make sense. Back in the house, Nell is still at it about the room. To me, the issue isn't the name tent, it's the room itself. I knew that when, Nell didn't let it go. And then she turns to Mel and says, your room must be my room because it ain't got no name on it either. Now, Mel calmly explains to Nell that she gave her the single room in the middle. And since Nell can't really win that fight, she circles back to the name tent again, saying that since she was the elder, she should be important and her name should be somewhere. Honestly, it's a name tent that was printed on a piece of cardstock. It's really not that serious. But since Nell says that she collects them, Mel has already told her she would make sure that she gets it. Why are we still here on this topic if it wasn't really about the room itself? So when Nell gets in her confessional, she goes on to say that she took care of Mel on the Houston trip, making sure she had a good room with a lock on her door. And she did. Mel had a good room in Houston. But Mel didn't ask for the best room in the house. She asked for a lock on her door and not to be near her tail. Nell is upset about the room, which is why she storms off towards Mel's room screaming, I like this room. Mel calls Nell back to talk to her because this shit has gone left for no reason. She tells her that all she's been doing is yelling and complaining and screaming since she got there. And Nell says, well, I can bring it down a notch, but I took care of you on my Houston trip. That was code for I gave you a good room and you gave me a shitty room. And Nell adds that she did everything that Mel asked her to do on the Houston trip in regards to the room. And Mel said, yes, that's right, because my ex was there. But there are no men here. And we are cool in real life, so don't take any of this as a slight, because it's not. Now, Shanita has peeped game, and she sees exactly what this is, and she knows all this extra bullshit isn't just because of a name tent. And she tells Nell that she can have her room because she wants this trip to be a nice trip. And Nell snuts back, it's gonna be nice. And Shanita says, okay, but again, you can have my room if you want it. And Nell says, well, what are you gonna do? Stay in that sandwich room? And what difference does it make, right? If she stayed in the room. right? You don't want it. But Shanita says, well, no, I would just bunk with Lauren. But I want Mel to be happy, so you can have my room if you want it. And she walks off. Now, Nell doesn't like that, and she yells at Shanita that Mel is going to be happy. Now, Nell agrees to simmer down, and shortly after that, Sonny tells Mel that Kimmy and Tisha are outside, cutting up and acting a fool about their room. So Mel goes to find out what the issue is. Kimmy goes on to tell Mel that out of all the spaces there, they got the smallest room, and that she expected more due to the number of years they have known one another. Now, it's funny how Kimmy and Tisha only take into account the quantity of time and not the quality of the friendship itself. Shit, the friendship is trash, just like their marriages, but they are only measuring the longevity and nothing else. Tisha tells Mel that the room they were given shows how she thinks of them. And Mel is like, well, y'all got 3 people, so there are 3 beds. What's the issue? No malice, no ill intent. And Mel goes on to tell them that Sonny got her own room because you hoes weren't feeling her. And she shared that with her. Mel goes on to say that if it's that serious, she actually wouldn't mind taking that 3-bed room with Shanita and Lauren, because with everything that she has planned and the fact that they're not going to be there that long, it really doesn't matter. Shit, y'all can have it. They won't mind. Now, Kimmy and Tisha shake their heads no. And Mel says, well, are you sure? And Kimmy is like, well, yeah, because if it was really that way, you would have just done that without us having a conversation. And Mel corrects Kimmy and says, nah, I wouldn't have just done that because number 1, I wouldn't have known you had a problem. And 2, you didn't know why I chose that room for you. And listen, Mel is better than me because I wouldn't have said shit to those bitches. They just would have been mad. Tisha and Kimmy came here to derail this trip. This is day 1 and they haven't even unpacked a single suitcase and all of this bullshit has popped off. You didn't come here to have a good time. You came here specifically to be with the shits. Funny how the tables have turned though. You're stuck in a room with Destiny, a bitch y'all don't even like. Anyway, Sonny tells Nell that she should go outside and check on the ladies because they have been out there for a while now. And Nell agrees to go and check it out. Nell gets out there and she tells Tisha and Kimmy that they're going to have to suck up those sleeping arrangements just like they had to do in Houston. And she even had to suck it up because she was sandwiched between they stinking asses. And of course, Kimmy doesn't like this because how dare Nell come out here and tell them some shit that they should have already done. And she tells Nell that she doesn't need her input. And Nell says, well, shit, we can end it right here. Now, Mel gets tickled because I'm sure she's probably thinking that she has just entered the Twilight Zone because all of this bullshit and drama over rooms nobody paid for, get the fuck out of here. This is dumb. I mean, seriously, if you don't like your sleeping arrangements, pull your plastic or your metal card out and make it do what it do. Otherwise, shut up. Kimmy tells Nell that she wasn't even part of the conversation. And Nell says that she came out there because she has known all of them the longest and she wanted to help. She came out there to move everybody along. Like, y'all been out here too long, so let's move it along. And Kimmy's like, you think coming out here to tell us to suck it up was going to help? And Nell was like, yeah. Listen, I came out here to tell you that I had to suck it up too. Listen, I had complaints too. And Kimmy tells Nell that they had already figured out that part. They didn't need her help. And Nell was like, well, shit is over. Everything's Gucci then. Out of nowhere, Nell asks which one of them said something about fighting. And Tisha tells her that no one said anything about fighting. And while she's saying that, she pulls Nell's tank up because she said one of her nipples was showing. Now, I didn't see that, but she said it was showing, so I guess. Anyway, all that did was piss Nell off again. And she tells Tisha, don't do that. Don't touch me. As you can imagine, this shit is finna go left again. Mel is still trying to mitigate the damage by getting in between the drama. And Kimmy tells Mel to take Nell inside because she was just making the situation worse. Nell hears her and says, I wouldn't have been out here if y'all asses wasn't arguing over a room. And she walks off. Now Kimmy gets mad again, and Tisha says that Nell needs to stop before she gets her wig snatched off. And I'ma say it again. These bitches wanted to see a fight. They just didn't want to be in one. So they are not having a good time right now. Nell is fired up when she gets back in the house, and she announces that they are full of shit and that she will be the one to whoop their asses. And Kimmy is so upset about being on the receiving end that she needs a minute to calm down. You know, she's got those angry tears. This was not how it was supposed to be. Mel was supposed to be upset. Mel was supposed to be losing it, right? Not Kimmy. Trying to stay in good spirits, Mel still has hope that this trip can be saved. And she reminds the ladies that this is their first girls' trip. So everybody just needs to get it together. Kimmy gets in her confessional talking about why she doesn't do girl trips. Because, you know, this, that, and the third. But the fact of the matter is that this trip is going the way it's going because they came here with that energy. They didn't come here for a good time. They came with an agenda. Oh, but Mel's work isn't done. She still has ruffled feathers to smooth, so she pulls Nell aside again, this time to have a private conversation with her. Mel tells Nell that she's on 10, and she really needs to calm down a bit. And she even asks Nell if she thought she was being extra. And Nell says, listen, if I am being extra, don't put your hands on me. And I feel her on that. Just keep your hands to yourself. Tisha is going to wind up putting her hands on the wrong person and end up with an assault charge. Quit grabbing and touching folks. Just keep your damn hands to yourself. Everybody doesn't like that. Keep your hands to yourself. So finally, everyone has managed to calm down now, and Mel can unveil her surprise. It's some carnival dancers and a gift bag. The ladies are finally having a little bit of fun, and now it's time to eat. Mel notices that Sunny has been a little bit quiet, so she probes her. And Sunny says, nah, I'm just hungry, that's all. Shanita asks Sunny where she's from, and that's when she says St. Louis. And Shanita's like, yeah, y'all don't want to fuck with her. The Midwest don't play like that. So Tisha seizes the opportunity to make herself look like an ass, and she says that Mel specified that her single friends were coming on the trip, and she wanted to know why that needed to be specified. And Mel was like, well, because I like for things to be super clear. Next question. Tisha was like, oh, well, I thought you were just trying to say that the single friends are more fun than your married friends. And Shanita was like, well, yeah, they are. Basically because they have more flexibility. Shanita goes on to define what a friend is to her. And she says that she defines a friend by how they treat her when things don't go their way. And Tisha agrees, not even knowing that she is the example of that very statement. There are a ton of examples of this, but the most recent case is right here on this trip with the room situation. Look how she's behaving and she's treating Mel when she didn't get her way. She didn't get the room that she wanted. So she's pouting, she's acting a fool, she's mad, she's doing all this stuff. Why? If this is really your friend. Shanita then asked Tisha if she could be around somebody that she doesn't like. And Tisha's like, yeah, I'm an adult. And Stormy kind of pipes up and is like, yeah, she don't like me. And she's sitting right beside me because, goals? I don't know. Shanita turns to Mel and says, watch her. So this kind of pops Tisha and Stormy's bubble because they were just both priding themselves on being able to break bread and sit in the company of people they hate. And I know a lot of you all are going to say that you do that all the time at work. Well, we don't get to choose our coworkers. And technically, yes, this is a working situation for these ladies as well. But since we are not obtuse, We know that Shanita was speaking to Tisha in terms of her personal life. And for Tisha, that answer would be the same. But Tisha wants clarity. So she asks, "What do you mean, watch me?" Shanita basically says, "Well, you said that you would sit at a table and break bread with people you don't like. And that's the realest shit you could have ever said." Basically, Shanita is saying, you can't be trusted. Ho, the smile don't match the handshake. That's what she's saying. Mel decides that since they're already putting everything on the table, they might as well address the pink elephant in the room, Trish and Sonny. And Mel says, "Trish, you got a problem with Sonny because of Destiny." And Trish is like, "Well, no, I don't have a problem with her. I'm just not going to be cordial with her or anything like that." So Mel turns to Shanita because Shanita's confused and tries to explain the situation to her. She says, "Well, Sonny came to be married to Destiny's ex, basically." And Shanita's like, "Oh, well, why aren't y'all mad at the man? What are y'all mad at Sonny for?" And Trish says, "Because Destiny considered Sonny a friend." So Shanita asks, "What defines friendship?" Trish goes on to give examples of how Sonny was Destiny's producer and they built this relationship that went beyond work. They would go to parties and they would hang out. And Shanita was like, that's work. Now Sonny speaks up and says, "That is not true. I only went to one event and that was while I was working. Just the one." Now, I don't know if I believe that, but all right. Shanita tells him that the producer's job is to get, information about you and your life. And Tisha says, "Well, they shouldn't use that information against you." Sonny says that she didn't have any information to use against Destiny because Destiny never told her anything about her relationship with Moses. And I don't know if I believe that. But anyway, Nell turns to Tisha and says, "Well, is Destiny coming? I don't like to talk about people when they aren't here." Tisha smiles so big and says, "Well, yeah, she's supposed to come." Now, Shanita ain't really feeling this. So she asks Tisha point blank, why would she invite someone to Mel's trip given the strife and animosity between Mel and that person? Tisha is absolutely giddy because just knowing how much Mel and Destiny despise each other has her anticipating Destiny's arrival even that much more. I mean, just the thought gives her pleasure. Look at her, just look at her goofy ass face. Mel was like, "I didn't know that was going to be the +1." And Tisha yells, "Well, I texted you." Maybe, but when did you text? Why aren't we saying when the text happened? Why is that elusive? Shanita turns to Mel and says, "Look, I said watch her." Mel tells Tisha, "Now, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Fuck Destiny." And I feel like there was probably some dialogue in between that statement that got cut out. But either way, Stormy is clearly shocked by it. Tisha tells Shanita that Destiny is in the friend group. So Shanita is like, "Well, what is your goal exactly? Is your goal for everybody to get along, or are you just with some bullshit, basically?" Tisha's like, "I want everybody to get along, but Destiny is gonna be here because she is in the friend circle." Shanita turns to Mel at that point and says, "Listen, this woman has told you who she is 1,000 times, and I just met this lady. Okay? Listen, nobody pegged these women wrong. Shanita just walked into this house and let Tisha talk and pulled her card. Tisha is simple. She's not complicated. She's an easy read, and you can spot a hoe like that a mile away." Shanita continues to break it down by telling Tisha, "You choose to be friends with someone who you know hurt your so-called friend. You did that. So you can't be my friend." And the crazy part is that Tisha actually agrees. Tisha knows that she isn't Mel's friend. And instead of faking and pretending to want to mend a friendship with Mel, her and Kimmy just need to come clean and say, "Look, we don't want a friendship. We don't like you. We never liked you. And just let that be the reason. Shanita says point blank that she feels that there are a lot of people at that table that are the ops. And who can disagree? Y'all, I really enjoyed Shanita in this episode. I want to see more of this lady on my screen. What did you guys think about the episode? Do you think that Mel was wrong or being shady for giving Tisha and Kimmy and Destiny a shared room? Do you think they deserved Shanita and Lauren's rooms? And what about Nell? Do you think that she deserved a better room than what she got? Drop down in the comments and talk to me. I talk back. Again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, bet you know now.